welcome to the Mental Margarita Show. We have Dr. Bob Rich with us today, award-winning author, professional grandfather, has done many, many things in this lifetime, and many more things is on his list. And you're quite a philosopher, hailing from Australia, Victoria, Australia. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very well. And I really admire you people in the Northern Hemisphere for being able to walk around upside down.
It takes practice, you know.
Yeah. Well
So,
done. That's not the usual reaction. I get usually, oh.
and you've seen tomorrow before we did, so how is it?
Well, we had a real beautiful thunderstorm last night. It even knocked out the power, but I've got solar panels and the battery, so that came on.
Well, that's good.
And it's beautiful sunshine. We're having an early spring. It's still winter here, but all my fruit trees are in mad blossom. Just beautiful flowers everywhere. Trees are among my favorite people.
I know that, and it should be. They give us oxygen. They provide a lot for us, and teach us many things as well.
Trees are sentient beings. They sense their environment and react to it. They communicate with each other. They react against things like if one tree is being attacked by predators, it will warn nearby trees. They cooperate. Their equivalent of the brain appear to be fungal networks underground. There's a fair bit of research on it. There is a researcher, Monica Maglione, I think her name is, who has shown that they respond to classical conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning.
Wow.
So they have memory. So they're people just like us. But maybe a little bit different, but you know. They're also part of the family.
I had read these recently about the communication. It was an interesting conversation I was having with my younger brother, and we were talking also about mushrooms and the mycelium being one of our largest air-breathing counterparts. And it is quite interesting, everything around us on this earth that keeps us alive and exists. We all coexist for one another.
Well, that's one of my cliches is all sentient beings are my family. So that does include humans, but not limited to them.
And you know, you've done a great many things. So you retired, you said 5 times from doing different things, from being a research scientist to being a builder's laborer. You were a psychotherapist. So of all those things that you've done, was there any particular one thing that you liked more, or you liked them all?
Being of benefit to people as a therapist. I mean, nowadays I still do some editing for a number of small publishers and for independent authors, although I'm considering retiring from that too. And there I'm more a teacher than an editor. What my aim is not just to fix this book, but to improve this writer's performance. So it's more a coach.
And you've also authored a great many books, 19, am I correct? And 6 have won awards? When did the writing bug start? When did you figure out that's something that you really had a passion for?
Okay. In 1980, I was busy building my house. It was an adobe house, and I'd invented a new way of making bricks. And there I was in my, I don't know if what you call it in America, gumboots. Does that make sense to you? Tall rubber boots.
High waters, we call them.
Okay. Well, I was stomping around in the mud, and this deputation of teenagers descended on me and kidnapped me. They were playing a boys versus girls soccer game, and they were short of one male. So what could I do? I obediently went with them, didn't bother to change footwear. Predictably, I slipped on the mud and tore a cartilage in my knee, which is not a good idea. Don't do it. I ended up in hospital, bored out of my mind. And so I borrowed the office typewriter and wrote an article for a sort of a self-sufficiency magazine on my method of making mud bricks. And that was, apart from academic writing, that was the first thing. And that took off. And I got a byline column in that magazine. So every issue had something from me, which was advice on some aspect of building. And that was really good because first I had to learn it before I could teach it.
Right.
And that ended up in my first book, which is now out of print, but it was published in 1986 and went through 4 editions until 2018. So
now, is this the woodworking book, or is this
no,
you
Earth Garden building book. The woodworking book is actually called Woodworking for Idiots Like Me.
And you actually explain how to build your own home in that book, right?
Well, because I'm good with words and because I was the most impractical person on the planet, I had to learn it all. And so I'm good at explaining it. Someone for whom it's intuitive may find it very difficult to be a teacher. Oh, you just do it. Well, I had to learn how to drive a nail in without bending it. I had to learn how to make a saw cut that stayed in the groove and not cut your hand. So I can explain it.
Right.
Anyway, that book sold about 60,000 copies, which is pretty good in a small Australian market. And then I've republished it as an electronic book. But because I wanted all the drawings in it, it's like a huge web page. So you have to download it and view it on your browser. That's good fun.
And you've written about a lot of different things, from science fiction. You also gleaned from your years in psychotherapy. You've done a lot of study on human behavior, and you've written novels. You've written a biography about your mother. Will you tell us just briefly a little bit about that? I'm in the middle. Yes, I'm in the middle of reading this right now, and I'm excited to get to know her a little better and you through this book. And just give us a little. Yes.
This is her at 40 years of age.
Wow. She's a beautiful woman with a beautiful story and overcame some tremendous challenges in her lifetime.
Yeah, well, we survived the Second War. We were in the ghetto, Hitler's guests. And she used to put me in, I had blonde hair and blue eyes, which is quite unusual in Hungary. Most people have brown hair and brown eyes. So I was an Aryan-looking baby. So middle of February, she sneaked out of the ghetto, took off her yellow star, exposed my blonde hair, and then traded jewelry and stuff for food, went back, traded the food for jewelry, and this way she kept, or whatever else was valuable, what could be traded. And so she kept us alive and a whole heap of other people.
Wow.
It would have taken just one pre-war acquaintance to report her. A lot of courage.
Yes, and to live with the uncertainty each day, we don't understand because we've been we've had the privilege of living in the time that we do. But
well, some of us, unfortunately, did you know there are wars in 38 countries, according to the United Nations, and 4 of them are genocidal. I mean, what the Russians are doing in Ukraine, Israel's doing in Gaza, there's genocide in Yemen and in the Sudan. It's terrible.
it is, and it's so unnecessary.
It's I cannot find it in myself to put myself in the place of someone who does it.
Now, in light of the human condition the way it is now, because I want to talk just briefly about a few of your books. You talk and write a lot about futuristic things, what could be, what might be, what could happen, the environment, saving our Earth, our planet in which we live. You know, there's so many jobs that we have as citizens of the planet that need to be done to continue its, you know, life here on our planet as we know it. Now, one of your books, there was one book that won an award, Bizarre Bipeds, What is Humanity's Place in the Universe? And that was talking about in the future.
Oh yeah, I haven't got a copy of that.
And you know, through this interview, we'll be putting up, you know, those book covers so people can see the title and they can look for them as we're referring to
I don't
them.
happen to have a print copy of that one. But yeah, that's Bizarre Bipeds is a novella about 50,000 words and then three short stories. And it's good fun.
Sleeper Awake caught my attention when I was reading a little synopsis on that one.
Yeah.
That also won an award. And
oh, yes.
You write about how the future is 1,000 years from now.
Yeah, well, see, what happens is somebody comes talking to me. And in that instance, it was Flora Fielding, who used to be a film star. And when she stopped, she became very wealthy because she was good at it. It was a game she played. And then she got cancer. So she put herself in suspended animation, expecting to be revived in 10 years. And boom, the cataclysm came. You know what we're working on right now and creating? And so she was awakened 1,433 years later into a new world. And I didn't know what that new world was going to be like until she told me, and she told me as she discovered it. Yeah.
Well,
So
people are going to have to read the book because it really sounds very interesting and entertaining and thought-provoking. It really gives us a lot to think about and consider.
Well, one of the things, sorry, I'm sorry. One of the things is Mount Chicago, which goes up into the stratosphere almost. Because when a 200-meter, what's that in feet? That 3,000 feet or something, wave came around the globe, America flexed, and then flexed again as the ice melted. And so the weakest point in the crust is where the Great Lakes are. That's why they're there. And so where Chicago was, now there is a big mountain.
Wow. So we're on the West Coast in Las Vegas. How does it look for us over there?
I don't know. She didn't. Well, cities had disappeared altogether because people could communicate through a brain implant. And so you could live anywhere. So rather than countries, there are cultures. Mm-hmm. So you and I would be in the English culture. and you can live anywhere on the planet, or mobile on a floating house, which is basically a sailing submarine, or in a balloon way up high, or in a land house. So it's quite a different.
Yes, it is different, and it's interesting to think of those options and those possibilities.
And those people are very grateful to us. If we hadn't tracked our world, theirs wouldn't have come into existence. Now, it is my hope that enough people will survive to allow that. But I think, unfortunately, far more likely is that all complex life on this planet is heading for extinction unless we change.
And you talk a lot about this change in your blog. You have a blog, and you contribute to it quite frequently. All different topics, things about the earth, things about humanity, people's behavior, people's beliefs. And you explain a lot of things and expound a lot of things in a comfortable way that's easy for people to relate to. And one of the things that you state is about, we want to change the global culture from one of hate to decency, cooperation, and compassion.
Well,
and
the main problem with our society is greed. It's not so much money, but addiction to money. That's what's destroying all these wars. In my historical fiction books, The Stories of the Evelyn, I have a man who comes from a very mercenary culture. And one of their proverbs is, war is wealth. It is. Okay, what Putin is doing in the Ukraine is wrong. It's terrible. But he was goaded to it by the West. And the arms industry, what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex, is laughing all the way to the bank.
You're right. And in some of our economics, we call it guns or butter. What is the funds going to be used for? We want them to spend it on the butter, but they don't. It's not always priority.
And I mean, they're so intent on taking as much money with them when they die as they possibly can, that they kill everything. This is basically the people who own almost everything could fit into a double-decker London bus.
It's a very small percentage. And they also hold the control over many things as well with that wealth.
Well, they think they control everything, but what they can't control is nature. Mother Nature is hitting back, unfortunately. Anyway, according to current research, we still have a small window of opportunity. If I had a magic wand and I could change the global culture into basically what all the great religions recommend, universal, unconditional love for all living beings, compassion, cooperation, decency, taking long-term view. If every human could switch to that, we could still save things. There would still be suffering, but we would deal with it with compassion.
Right. In one of your articles, you refer to, correct me if I'm wrong, if this comes from Buddhist teaching, the word metta.
Yeah.
Is another form of...
METTA is the Buddhist term for what Jesus calls love your neighbor as you love yourself. Confucius had the same message. Gandhi, but Jesus was killed for this message, right?
Right.
The reason Jesus was killed was that he was a threat to those in power. Gandhi was killed for the same message. You know the story of how he was assassinated?
No, refresh our memory.
In 1948, there was a terrible civil war between Hindus and Muslims in India. And Gandhi stood in front of a crowd of thousands and said, what should you do if Muslims kill your beloved little son? There were shouts of, vengeance, vengeance. He said, no. Find a little Muslim boy of the same age, both of whose parents have been killed by Hindus. Take him into your home, take him into your heart, and raise him as a good Muslim. That's the same as Jesus' message. And that shows he was an enlightened person, and that's why he was killed. So I hope I don't get assassinated. I'm not successful enough, but I've got the same message. That's why I'm a professional grandfather.
Yes, and I have a feeling that you have many adopted grandchildren and children as well that have come to know you through your work and just through the magic of making connections with other humans, which is the beauty of this show. We're so glad to have you on the show and to be able to talk a little bit about this. You know, the message of meta, and I want people to hear this. I hope I'm saying this right. May all beings be peaceful, happy, be safe, awaken to the light of their true nature, and to be free.
Well, I disagree with the word happy, but I have a different version. I have a set of email cards. If you send me an email, I've got something like 24. I'll pick an appropriate one and attach it. And I've got one with Meta, which is 2 flamingos whose necks form a heart shape. And then I have a meta message under it. But what I don't like about the concept of happiness, and here I disagree with all other experts on positive psychology, even the Dalai Lama talks about happiness, is happiness is transient. If things are better than my current average circumstances, I'm happy. If things are worse, I'm unhappy. But I can be unhappy and still be in contentment. For some 3 years, I had a terrible, ongoing, continuous pain. And I handled it by using mindfulness as a tool. At the time, I saw 8 clients came and visited me in the clinic for 1-hour sessions, and then I did a home visit. And I had Benadryl Forte with me to take in case the pain got too bad, but I rarely bothered to take it. It was there, I simply accepted it. It didn't hurt because pain has 2 parts. The actual trigger and your reaction to it. If you don't react to it, you're not suffering. And so I could be in pain or, have this terrible sensation in my hip, not happy about it, but perfectly content with life. In fact, if I had been a bit less content, I would have gone for an X-ray earlier and I could have shortened it. So you can be content in life and still be active to get rid of the cause, which is what I learned from it. So if you don't like something, fix it, but there's no need to double your suffering. The Dalai Lama says, there's no point in worrying. If you have a problem that has a solution, work on the solution. What's the point of worrying? if you have a problem with no solution, worrying is not going to fix it. That's the same message.
Right. And it's simple. And we complicate things so many times.
It's simple but difficult. I have an unpublished science fiction story. I'm looking for a home, and in my unbiased opinion, my hero will join join Harry Potter on the world stage. But 8 people tried to assassinate him, and in stopping them, they all died, and he was feeling terrible guilt. You know, he was really beating himself up because he killed 8 people. All that he was defending himself, but that's no excuse, you know. And one of his friends was a psychologist who told him about equanimity, what we've just been talking about. And so my hero, Bill, told the story. This Buddhist monk was famous for his equanimity, and the robbers attacked his monastery and were killing his monks. And he was bashing his head in the wall and crying, and if he had any hair, of course, they have shaved head, he would have pulled it. And his deputy said, "But teacher, what about equanimity?" "Equanimity is all very well, but they're killing my people." So you can apply this concept at 3 levels. Level 1 is, I have a terrible pain in my hip, or I have a terrible pain in my heart, and I accept it. It's there and it's okay. Hmm? Somebody I deeply care for has cancer, and she may die. That's terrible. When I can accept it, it's okay. And she can do the same. But sometimes I can't manage it. Then it does hurt. But now I can simply accept, yes, I do care and it hurts, and I accept that it hurts. It's okay. It's okay for it to be hurt, to be hurting. It's a legitimate pain. And if I can't even manage that, what's the point of living? Might as well be dead. Complete despair. And like that abbot, and if I can accept that, yes, for now I'm in despair, then I can continue living. That's what he should have used. So it applies in any situation. And if you can completely and honestly accept, for now, I accept that life is not worth living, then I may rise to the second level. Yes, I'm hurting, but it's okay to be hurting. But you can't do it for that reason, or it's not true acceptance. So there you are. Your audience can have a tool from me for how to live their lives well.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And one last thing, you know, you've got this blog, Bobbing Around, as your name is Bob, very appropriate. And you discuss and go over so many different topics. And one of my favorite things was talking about sustainable use of items. You call it the 4 R's of sustainable use. And it is everyone's job to think and be mindful about the items we use every day. And before we throw something away, can it be fixed? Can it be reused? Do we need it? You asked some questions. So will you just tell us really quickly the 4 R's?
The first is refuse. Okay? If you can live without it, why have it? If something breaks down, instead of unthinkingly replacing it, do I need to? If your situation is such that you do need it, maybe you can change the situation so you won't need it. If you just have to have a car because of where you live, can you move to somewhere where public transport is available? Or can you change your situation so you can ride an electric bike? So I can summarize it by saying live simply so you can simply live.
And what a great motto to have. And it's a great one to live by. And be mindful. We want folks to be mindful and to raise their awareness.
Anyway,
And
that's refuse. Second one is repair. When you buy something, find out if it's repairable. If it isn't, don't buy it. You go to what in Australia we call op shops, you call thrift shops. You can buy stuff there that was better made from better materials.
right.
It's already loved by somebody. You can continue using it, and it's probably repairable. And then, oh, I've got a mental block. I'm an old fella, you know.
Reuse. That
Yeah.
number 3?
Reuse, perhaps for another purpose. Look, if you buy a loaf of bread, it almost certainly comes in a plastic bag. Don't put it in the rubbish. Next time you put something in your freezer, instead of wrapping it in new plastic, put it in a bread bag, put it in there. Works just as well. When I was regularly swimming, I can't do that now because my shoulders are beyond it. I had my tickets, I bought a year's worth of tickets, and I had them in what was at the time guaranteed to be the oldest bread bag in the world.
How old was it?
I don't know. I just kept using it.
Okay.
It was old enough that the printing was wearing off it.
Still had utility, right?
And then recycle is the poor last option.
And we find that, and over here we are upcycling. So it's another way of changing items, and we do that with clothing and some other items that we change and give them new use, like you said, to reuse and find other purposes for them, repurposing. So it takes all of us to do these things mindfully in order to make positive changes in our world. And if you want to know more from Dr. Bob Rich, you need to go check out his blog and subscribe. Become a subscriber, hear what he has to say. It's got some wonderful tidbits of wisdom and so many different things to relate to.
Yeah, I've got a tagline. I say, bobbing around is entertaining, informative, inspirational, challenging, but never boring. Anyway, if you enter into a search engine, Dr. Bob Rich bobbing around, it should come up. But it's bobrich18.wordpress.com. 18 because 18 is the R is the 18th letter of the alphabet.
Okay, that's the secret. That's the code behind it. Wonderful. Well, we'll make sure that the audience has that link so that they can follow you, so they can subscribe and hear your wisdom on almost a daily basis.
Oh, and one of the books you didn't mention, it's a mirror image, sorry. Ascending Spiral, which is actually my life story, but fictionalized. And I wrote it as fiction for 2 reasons. One is to protect the guilty. I don't want to be sued. And the second is there is a wonderful therapeutic technique from acceptance and commitment therapy. They say, create a movie character. Design this character to be exactly your appearance and exactly your past history, but every time you made the wrong choice, have your character make the right choice with hindsight. So when you've got the character so well designed that a Hollywood actor could step into the role. Now, I don't write scripts. I haven't got that skill. I write novels. So I wrote a novel where my hero, Pip Lipkin, has had all my past events, including past life recalls, but handled choices better. And insofar as I can, I do my best to pretend to be him rather than me. And that's a wonderful way to improve how you react to the future. There you are, another therapeutic technique for you.
Great. Thank you for that.
You can take months designing your character. And the more effort you put into it, the more real it becomes for you.
That's a great tool to use and a fun activity, especially for those that enjoy being creative and still have an imagination.
Yes, creativity is one of the 7 magic bullets. The 7 magic bullets, if you have a good dose of them in your life, you can shoot down suffering. They increase your resilience. Now, they're fairly well available through my writings, but they're restful sleep, neither too much nor too little, nourishing food, neither too much nor too little, antidepressant exercise, which is exercise that is enough fun that you want to go back to it. But, oh, I have to go and have a run. I'm ready for a run. Creativity, fun, social connectedness, and meaning. If you have a good dose of those 7, whatever the world throws at you, you'll thrive. You can cope with it.
The 7 bullets. Well, you heard it, folks. Straight from Dr. Bob Rich. We thank you. We thank you for spending this time with us. And again, folks, subscribe to the blog. We're so glad that you joined us today, Dr. Bob, on the Mental Margarita Show. And we'll be checking in with you for some other updates and, of course, bits of wisdom as we see them come out.
Oh, anybody who subscribes to my blog has the offer of a free book, an ebook, not a paper one, but the contents is the same. It's a bit like, what shape is a dog? Whatever shape it is, if it's a dog, it's a dog. So what do you record a book on? Audio, electronic, on paper, it's still a book.
Yes, and thank you for, that's a generous offer. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay. Lovely to have met you.
Here, Mental Margarita.
Oh man, this is such a treat. This is an unbelievable treat. Welcome to the Mental Margarita Show. How you feeling?
Oh, we're wonderful. We're wonderful. Putting in that work nonstop like a clock.
I love this. I love you. I love that. I like the outfit too. The style.
Yeah, shout out to Boxwell. You know what I'm saying? Kings and queens wear crowns. Few things to go on.
That's what I'm talking about. So Amber 15, that is the nickname. Summers is in the building. Now, are you hailing from California?
Oh yeah, Bay Area. You got on you repping where I'm from actually.
Hey!
I know I got one of Dade County's finest here with me today.
Absolutely, you definitely do. And you know what? I'm an authentic Raiders fan. Like, I mean, I go back
To Los
like
Angeles, huh? LA to the Bay, down to Vegas, huh?
Right. I'm one of those. I'm one of those. And actually, I'm wearing both of my favorite teams. I'm a Yankee fan, Raider fan, but I'm from Miami. Interesting. And I'm also a fan of you. So let's talk about Amber 15 Summers. Second consecutive victory just recently.
Yes, absolutely. On the road to the belt.
Wow. And so this was in Colombia.
Yeah, that's correct. And also a fight with the Miami team for Team Combat League. So I'm over there repping your city in Miami.
That's something else. Team Combat League. And so you made your debut in May.
Yeah, yeah,
Boxing
with Ring Kings.
with Ring King. Shout out to my
Vanessa.
sister Vanessa in the building. So how did that whole thing start?
Well, also shout out to the Mayweather Boxing Club. I practice here in Las Vegas, and I was putting in work, and I was sitting back waiting on fights to be offered, and then I realized that sometimes you got to go out and get it. So I actually reached out, and I found Vanessa. She was hungry, she was dedicated, and we hit it off with each other. And I went ahead and locked in with her, even though there's plenty of other opportunities once I actually went out there and seek the opportunities. But I was honestly just training and waiting, and that wasn't really working out for me. So I had to go out there and find her, and we came together. We're making it happen.
That's fantastic. And what a wonderful person to make it happen with. Because when it comes to being hungry and determination, I mean, she sits right next to that word in the dictionary. Now, was boxing a passion from an early beginning, your childhood? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we grew up boxing. We grew up throwing on the gloves in the streets, but business was my passion. Being a social butterfly, I succeeded in business out in LA. I got a really cool company that I started and ran for a long time. And then when I got to Vegas, I was like, you know what, you're close to what you've always been a fan of. There's no need to not just go and do it, because before I didn't know that it was something that you could just go and do. There wasn't really many avenues for women in, boxing that was just readily available and accessible. So I actually cut the fear, put all that to the side, and actually stepped into the gym. I had this skill set also. I was like, I'm too skilled not to put this to use. So we went in and we put in the work.
Wow, you put in the work. Now, being too skilled, was this something that was like a natural thing that you just had? Was it a calling, or was this something that you really developed over time?
Aside from being a longtime fan of boxing, studying the craft, it was a skill set that I always possessed. I just didn't have the avenue, which is why I'm actually advocating for women in sports to, be bold, be fearless, and show that there is an avenue to just go and do it. Because some athletes and women athletes, they don't know that you can, follow your passions and actually push forward and go and do it. Because I was one of those people. I didn't know that it was something that I could do. So I was always just being a spectator, being a fan.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it too, because I am such a huge fan of boxing myself. And, it's great for anyone that's watching this to know that, you just got to go out there and make it happen. I mean, to see the fact that you're doing that. Now, being courageous is one thing, but how did you muster up the courage to say, okay, I'm going to go professional? A lot of people, they want to try to do it, but I know people, they just go to they go to the gym and they just spar. You wanted to go professional.
And here's how that started. I was sparring world champions, and then I was like, okay, that's all I needed to know.
Oh,
and once again, another shout out to the Mayweather Boxing Club for giving me the accessibility to world champions. People from around the world are coming through this world-renowned gym, and so once I start touching world champions, like touching them, I was like, okay, this is we're on the road to the belt. Let's go. Let's go pro. And I got the green light from my coaches and from some of the gym management. You know, you have to get that green light. We got the green light. Here we are on the road to the belt.
Oh my goodness. And green light, I mean, come on, you're at Mayweather's gym. This is legendary environment. You know, the mystique is there, the aura is there, all the juices are running. You got, you know, so much talent that's there. I mean, was there any time that you felt out of place, or did you feel like as soon as you got there, you were home?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And no, I never felt out of place. It was funny because I had already been successful in business and running my own company. And then I was starting this new endeavor of being being taught, because you know when you're in the pursuit of being a world champion, you have to listen, you have to be humbled. It takes a lot of hard work. So you may come in with a high level skill set, you know, but it's getting better and better and better. So a lot of hard work being done in that gym, you know, but very, very, very comfortable. I've been very comfortable in Vegas as a whole.
Wow. And now for most people that are looking from the, you know, looking at it from the outside, looking in, they're thinking Vegas, party capital. There's so many different things that you can indulge yourself into. What is the level of discipline that you really have to have in a city like that? And do you get tempted? Are you human? Is there a human element that's there that you got to fight away?
Well, luckily, when you're dedicated and determined towards a goal, you know, my first 3 years training, it was go to the gym, come home, eat, sleep, wake up, go to the gym. And it's funny because now that we've got my career started, you know, it's a little more business mixed in, but it's still the same core discipline. And even, you know, going back to what you were saying about being tempted, I get more tempted to get the belt. So it's
Right.
not the outside temptation. My temptation is let's get this belt. So it sends me right back on track to the, you know, working out, eating, hydrating, self-care, which is tremendously important, which is, you know, stretching, massages, meditating, studying, um, mental improvement, and rest, you know. So once you have to do all those things, and food is really important, so a lot of my time centers around what I'm going to eat, finding, you know, fruits with seeds, and you know, optimal nutrition regimens. So
That's amazing. You know what? You got me like I'm hearing the theme song to Rocky right now as you're talking. What are some of the foods? Let's talk about the foods. What are some of the foods, your diet that you have to intake? Because you know, I was on a pescatarian diet for a very long time, you know, and then seafood, you know, and now I'm seeing food and I'm like, I got to get back to the pescatarian diet. So, what are some of the things that you would suggest for someone that wants to get their mind, their body, and their soul right?
the number one food is love. You have to, you know, wake up and step out the house with love, and you know, put that out
Yeah.
there. Make sure you have people putting in love around you. That's really, really important. But also I was on a Presbyterian diet as well. I don't eat meat, so I make sure that I bring in a lot of you know, chickpeas, seeded fruits, clean water, lots of juices, uh, you know, a superfood diet, superfood, eating at the right hours, which is also
Uh,
important.
what are those hours?
Oh man, that's a trade secret, but I'll show you some love. Dusk to dawn.
That's to dawn. That's deep. That's
Yeah,
deep. Okay. All right, guys, make a note of this. Make a note. Super fly weight. Now, not only does the gear you got on is super fly, but you or a super fly weight. So 115 pounds you're at.
that's correct.
Okay. Now, in that lane specifically, is there anyone that you're looking at? You're a marksman right now. Is there anyone that's got an X on their back right now, or are you just willing to take whoever comes at this point?
More so, we're going towards the belt. That's not really my style. I've never been the call out type. I've always been the show up type, show up and prove type. So yeah, that's not really my lane in doing that. But I'm here. We're on the road to the belt, so that should speak volume.
It definitely speaks volume. I love your humility as well. Now, when you look at the sport thing, there's a lot of politics that can be involved, and entertainment value at fights and things of that nature. Being on the business side as a woman, how important is it for you to make sure that your hand is in the business? That even though V might be doing her thing, like, how important is it for you to learn the business side of boxing?
Actually, I stepped in because I wanted to get into promoting events because it wasn't readily available. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to throw my own fights. So that was something that I was interested in before I turned pro, and then I saw how achievable obtaining a belt was, and then so my goal and my plan of action changed. But in any industry, it's important to be knowledgeable in anything that you're involving yourself in. In boxing, particularly, it was my business savvy that actually sought out someone like Vanessa. So, and that is the result and prize of having my hand in the business, is actually doing my research. And she gave me an opportunity. I'm giving her an opportunity. We're actually locked in with each other. We have a great relationship, and I'm happy to be involved with her. She's really dedicated. So I'm excited to be able to bring a lot to the table for her, as she's bringing a lot to the table for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Dedication. That's what it is. And being dedicated elevated you, ranked number 5 in the US.
Indeed.
I mean, how does that make you feel? Just to see that here you are, a person that was such a fan of this sport, and now you're ranked number 5 in the United States.
I love that you did your research, so you'll see when I'm ranked number 1.
Oh,
then we'll bring it together, 1-5. So no, I love that, and I appreciate you for following and following up on that. And so yeah, like I said, we're on the road to number 1. That's the importance of this sport, is actually being the best that you can be, and being the best that you can be is combating with the best.
Absolutely, is combating. Now, in the first round, I heard that you had a little KO on a woman named Marty.
Oh yeah, right? yeah. That was there in your city. Well, no, it wasn't in Miami. It was in Atlanta. And she's super, super tough. Great sportsmanship. It's funny, the commentators, they trained with her, so they knew her, so they were expecting it to go a different way. And yeah, shout out to her. She was a super good sport.
And she was a sportsmanship. Pounder.
Pardon me?
126 pounder.
Probably like 132, 133, 134, 135.
Oh.
Yeah, along those lines. Yeah, but beyond that, she was a great contender. She actually she took it like a champion. It was more so a big knockout, not a little one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I predict that there's going to be some more knockouts in your future, and
yeah,
I'm very.
Pardon me. It's not an easy thing to get, but once you start getting them, you realize that they're a little easier than you thought. But it's not an easy thing to get a knockout. Knockouts aren't, they don't come by easily. You gotta, practice. You gotta execute. And you gotta do it.
Yeah, I think for the average fan, they want the knockout. You know, everybody loves, you know, and when you talk about men's boxing, it's Tank Davis and you know, his one punch, his knockout ability, compared to maybe, you know, someone like Shakur Stevenson, who's more on the defensive side of things. Now, switching lanes back to women's boxing, was there anyone that you looked up to? Was there anyone that you admired from a tactical standpoint, whether it was being able to craft the knockout or just seeing somebody, you know, be able to have an illustrious career?
For sure, Layla Ali. You know, people weren't really following women's sports back then. So
Yeah.
for sure, a huge fan of her because she accomplished a lot. And she represented for her father. Also, I think me and you, we would enjoy watching boxing together. You hit on a point that I couldn't agree with more as far as knockouts. And shout out to Tank and his team. They showed me a lot of love. I just got done working with their camp when they were out here in Vegas, pardon me. And I also admire all the girls that I've run across in training in the gym. All the women, you know, they put in work, you know, whether their career is coming to an end or, you know, I've worked with a lot of world champions, you know, so I've been thankful to even, you know, watch how they move, watch how they're moving, and, you know, just be able to, you know, get in the ring with them.
That's fantastic. Having that knowledge and just being around that kind of experience. And, you know, like I said, I'm a tremendous, when I say tremendous, fan of boxing. So it's something that's on, you know, that I watch and enjoy on a regular basis. And one thing that I have noticed, there's a commonality with all the great fighters. And that commonality is their persistence to consistently be great. And I think that I'm feeling that aura from you through this interview, and it's an absolute pleasure. So, is there anything specific in the pipeline, or everything is still tentative?
We products, entertaining, action. You know, building relationships. And actually paving the way for, you know, people in sports, more so women in sports, showing that it's attainable. This is something that I actually wanted to attain for myself. So, and I'm showing it, I'm proving, you know, I'm learning daily my dedication. It's not just you know, that I'm persistent, but I'm seeing my persistence. I'm
Right.
seeing it being applied. I'm seeing the life changes that I've made for myself. I'm seeing what it takes to be a champion. And once you see what it takes, then you can just apply it, you know, and that's another key thing in any industry is application. You know, apply yourself to doing it, whether you want to be a chef, whether you want to, you know, it doesn't matter. Drive a city bus, whatever you want to do, go do it. Apply yourself and it's attainable. You can get it done.
That's real talk. And you know what? That's what I did. I went ahead and I did it, and I got, ladies and gentlemen, Amber won 5 summers on the Mental Margarita Show. How did they get in contact with you, Amber?
Oh, it's live 15 everywhere. 15 is ONE, the number 5. You can tune in. You can follow us at the Ring Kings Instagram. Vanessa does a great job at posting all of our updates and where we'll be. So check out Ring Kings on Instagram. And live 15, ONE, the number 5. And check out Mental Margarita. We might come back, show you some love, do a viewing party where we watch some boxing together. Since you really got a good take on what's going on in boxing. Some people, you know, are just fans and spectators, and you know, being someone that's in the ring, we have a different standpoint on, you know, how it really works. But you got a good eye. You sound like you know exactly what's going on with boxing. Kudos to you.
Oh, appreciate it. Who knows? We might be collaborating in the future, doing some future endeavors.
100%, 100%. And I appreciate you guys over there at Mental Margarita taking the time out to get to know me, see me shine.
Absolutely. You're shining bright, and you have a wonderful evening. And I know you got to get back to the workout, so continue doing what you got to do, and we'll continue cheering for you on this side. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a legend in the making. Alonzo Heron Jr. has arrived. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Mental Margarita Show. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm good. I'm glad to be a part of the show.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. Author, executive producer, filmmaker, creator, and a guy that basically started out, you know, trying to make things happen, single father, and you're working for your son. Tell me about that, and tell me the transition from being a father, working a job, I think at the police department.
Yeah, I was a police officer, yeah.
And then transitioning to film.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, 20-some years ago, I, grew up in Newark, New Jersey, coming from, poverty project area. And, a lot of my friends and peers around me was like, basically, they grew up with no fathers, was getting locked up, going to jail, coming back home, selling drugs. And, I did have my father in my life. My father was there. He raised me as well. And basically, I just knew something was more. It was something more to my life than just trying to become a statistic.
Right.
So I wanted more. I wound up having a child. I knew I tried college. College wasn't for me. So, I fell in love at a young age and had a child. We had a child, and I basically knew that my life, I wanted to be able to tell my son that we can't do this. I didn't want to be able to tell him that we can't do this. I wanted to be able to provide and just, be there as a father. So a good friend of mine who was in the game, very heavy, he wound up dying. And before he died, he got killed. He was saying that, Lonzo, I see something, a bigger light in you. And he was like, once you become a cop, become a fireman. And, growing up in the hood, in the projects, they try to deter you, being a cop. Nah, you being the po-po or pig. And he said, the only thing you need to do is be yourself. Don't let that badge and gun change you. And after his death, that's what I did. I took the test, and I wind up, going to the academy. I divorced his mother, and I took custody of my son. And pretty much I just wanted more. I started investing in real estate at the same time I was a cop. That's how I made a lot of my money. And down the line, I had a friend of mine. He did an independent film, and he wanted me to invest in his project. And then that's when I wrote a book called Living with No Regret. And I said, if I want to invest in any project, I'm investing into my own. And that's what I did. I mean, I never had everything in my life was never planned. I never planned on becoming a police officer. I never planned on becoming a filmmaker. I never planned on becoming an author. It was just something that I seen other people talk about, because you know a lot of people say I want to do this, and my grandfather, he used to always say, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna write a book, and he died without writing that book. So I wanted to fulfill that. I wanted to do that, get that accomplished.
And let's talk about that book, Living with No Regrets, because I mean that's basically how I look at my life. What was the inspiration besides your grandfather not being able to accomplish to write that book? But what was your inspiration in writing that book, and what did that book really entail?
Well, the book entailed, and basically is about four gentlemen from Newark, from poverty, that they all didn't want to become a statistic. You know, one, of course, two of them, one went to jail, one died, one got into politics, and one, you know, he took some bumps and bruises, but he still survived in the game. So I wanted to show people, no matter where you come from, you still have an option, that you still can fulfill the dreams that you want to do. And I was just inspired by another author from Newark named Alsa D. Banks. I just inspired that people, you know, people use reasons why they can't get to where they at. But the reality is that even when no one believes in you, no one supports you, you have to believe in yourself first.
That's right. That is so deep. You definitely do. And you believed in yourself so much that now all of a sudden you're in film production and you make a movie. Now, how is that putting things together? I mean, like this is new terrain for you, a brand new frontier. What was the learning curve?
Well, the learning curve, for one, not knowing anything about the business, from production side, from camera crew and sound and lighting, not knowing that, you know, I took my bumps and bruises in my first 2-3 films, where you meet people tell you, oh, I could do this, I got this connection, or it's only going to cost you this. But you know how it is, you get into it, you get in bed, and you know, contrast with them, then you find out, oh, that wasn't part of it, or you have to go spend money on that. So I was kind of like all over the place. Didn't know how to scout location, book talent, how many days you're gonna need them for. So yeah, my first two, you know, actually my first one. From the second one and on, I kind of pretty much got it together in a way. I had an idea that what it would take, what it needs to get a project done. And from doing that first project, I fell in love. It became a passion for me. It's like, you know, I believe there's a lot of our stories, especially even my experience as a cop coming from the street life, or just even my transition to even believing in God, to the point where those are stories that's not told. You know, everybody walks around saying, oh, I believe in God, I'm a Christian, I'm believing this, or a Muslim, but you never tell a story how you got there. What was the turning point? What did you go through? Was it the drug addiction? Was it the prostitution? Was it the gang violence? Or was something substantial that happened to you? Nobody wants to tell a story, and that's what needs to be told. Those are the stories that need to be told.
Yeah, those are the stories that definitely need to be told. And boy, did you tell them. King of Newark, the fearless one, fearless two. So now you're on the road, you're shaking and baking, and things are starting to happen now. Now your confidence is building. Are you now starting to say, okay, wait a minute, I am really getting good at this. So now I want to take this to the next level, which is, of course, UBTV. How's that?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Yes, I feel like I built the catalog. I'm just finished. I'm just finishing up my 11th project. So I have the catalog where a studio or a company can say, look, Margo, I see what you did on your level, which out of your own pocket.
Right.
Now let's get behind you. I'm trying. I would love to have, like where 50 Cent started out. He got with Lionsgate. They gave him a 10-picture deal, and they gave him a certain amount of millions to deliver those projects. You know, that's what I'm looking at. For somebody out there or the higher up to say, look, I like his shooting style. I like his stories. I see what you was able to do on your budget. Now let me get behind you or partner up with you.
Now, what is the mechanics behind that? You know, me being in the music industry, you know, back in the day, you made a demo, you shopped it, and then now on the internet is pretty much based on numbers. Is it the same
Streaming.
case, is it the same case with your business?
Yeah. So yeah, back in the day when it wasn't, you know, everybody's shooting film now, just like
Right.
everybody want to be a artist. And like you, and you know, I just seen something that Snoop posted up that was made a lot of sense. You know, when he came out as an artist in 90 something, when I was in high school, it was to buy his DVD, to buy his CD, it was $9.99.
Right.
He sold a million copies that equaled out to almost a million, you know, it equaled out to the dollar amount. Now, DVDs and CDs have faded out. It's about streaming.
Right.
And now people getting paid on streams. And it's like, you got to get over to get a nice payday, even like a $10,000 payday, you got to have over 1 million streams. It just don't add up. It's just not making sense to us. The one that's putting in the work, that's promotion wise. I mean, because we know if you market anything over 1 million people, you're a millionaire at a certain price range. Even if you got $1, and you got a
$1, $1.
$1. Now that 1 million streams, that's like 10,000 or 5,000, if that.
It's crazy.
It's not making sense. So it's rough, and that's what it is in the film business. Like, you know, there are still some platforms where you film your movie where they give you a licensing deal up front, you know, but if you don't have those licensing deals or the connections to the BET, to the Hulus, to the Netflix, then, you know, Tubi became the outlet for independent filmmakers. But it's streaming, it's app share. So you got to have a bunch of commercials that play into your movie while your movie is playing, and depending on how many people see your movie. So it's like, can you really become a millionaire? Can you really make great money off of one project if you relying on these the only platforms? No. Unless you shoot a movie, and I don't shoot movies for, and I commend anyone from, some people I heard, oh, I made this movie for 10,000. Then that means you had to be the camera guy, you had to be the lighting guy, you had to be the sound guy, you had to be the actor in there, like you had to do everything. To me, that's impossible to shoot the good quality. My production is running me $4 to $5 grand a day to shoot. You know, lighting, sound, gaster, you know, DP, AC. You know, we're not even talking about a PA, location. I got to pay my actors. Like, even on an independent, real low independent, to make it look good, you're going to spend. You could be at 100 or more, a couple grand, you know, to do it. Because at the end of the day, and we can't make the mistake like Tyler Perry can make. Tyler Perry has the audience. He made it already. A person like myself, a major person come in, they're going to look at my movie, they're going to scrutinize it. They're going to pick out every little error. So I have to be a little bit, you know, I'm big on storytelling. I'm big on the quality. And I'm big on, as I got more, the acting. Acting has to be more believable.
Right. This ain't the Dolomite days, is it?
Nah, it ain't like that back in the day where the competition wasn't there. You know, you made a movie, throw a couple names in it. Hey, you got a deal. You know, there were companies like Koch Records that was giving deals, and E1 Entertainment that was, because there wasn't a lot of filmmakers. Now everybody's shooting films. Everybody's doing it. You know?
Shooting. Now let me ask you this question. Have you thought about taking a route of putting it in a theatrical format?
Well, normally when I first do my movie, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, not to hold you, but so you can kind of monetize it. And like if you were to sell it as a play and have tickets.
Yeah, so with that being said, when I first got into this movie, I was hearing that like Magic Johnson was doing deals with independent filmmakers where they would put it in the AMC, see how it run, and then they give like a percentage off of the film. I mean, I tried it, I reached out, I just never had it done. So what I had to do, like I said, because I believed in myself, and I always do like a premiere, and then I try to do like a couple of different cities, rent out the theaters on my own. But the key is the marketing. I mean, unless you teaming up with someone in that state or city that has a following, or you got some real marketing dollars, it's hard to do it. So they say it's easy to do it, but then I just never done it. Out of the 8 films, I never really able to have a test run in AMC's in all the demographic cities and states that I felt my movie could do good at. So, and then now in this day of time, the movie business is closing down. There's a lot of movie theaters just closing now. People just watching movies at home.
And I know, I get what you're saying with that. I'm saying like as like a play, kind of like how Tyler Perry kind of did it.
Mm-hmm. Would I do that? Is that what you're asking? Something I would do?
Yeah. Like,
have I done?
And no regrets in making that an actual play that's acted on stage.
Oh, yeah. Somebody had asked me that. Somebody had approached me about that years ago, and yes, I would love to do that. I would love to do the play and take it on the road, and I think it would do phenomenal in that area. But I
wonder what like the budget would be for something like that if you were to do a play, because I'm kind of interested in that. I'm thinking of Las Vegas. I'm thinking of maybe doing you doing a premiere in Vegas where can attract, the right kind of people, movers and shakers, to see it rolled out that way.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, I never got a budget of that, because I know it's more, where you're doing it at, and you're talking about wardrobe, you're talking about the people traveling and all that. So you're right. I never got with somebody that who could create a budget that does that.
Yeah, maybe something to look into. I know that you're working hard, man. You're yawning over there.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I'm flying up to Jersey tonight so that way we can finish filming King 3. So just stay keeping myself busy now.
The latest film project, A Father's Pride, an epic tale of 2 brothers.
Yes.
Tell me that. So you got a good one, a good brother that's on the straight and narrow, and then you got a brother that's living a life of crime.
Yes. And they have a father that found out he had stage 4 cancer, and he's looking for one of his sons. He's looking for the son who's in the crime life to fulfill the role of the pastor, and the other son to continue to do his business. So
wow.
It was a lot of trials and tribulations, in the family. And like you said, there's always something that brings you to God, but we needed to show what was it. And that's what A Father Pride was. It was a story about redemption, that, you had to this guy had to redeem himself to get on the right path, but he had to go through some stuff.
Wow. All these stories that you're saying are so relatable. And I'm so excited for you. And I definitely think people are going to be magnetized to your work. I want to try to do all that I can to help, send you some ideas, or maybe collaborate in the future and do some things. But I'm very proud of you. How do they reach you if there's someone that's willing to invest or want to know what's going on with you? How do they get in contact with
you? Instagram, my page is H Royal Family. On Facebook is Royal Family Films, Alonzo Haran. My number is all over the social media. So anybody want to reach out to me, I'm very open. I'm an open book. My number is 201-463-9780. Again, 201-463-9780. I'm always looking to collab I'm always looking to build with other people, and definitely first and foremost is to give people opportunities. You know, that's what it's about. I think it's you know, like I always talk, I don't look for handouts. I look for opportunities. You know, so that's the major point. But I'm here. I'm open.
Oh man, I love that. I got one last question. How's your son?
My son is good. My son just turned 25 last month. He's in that generation where they're not ambition like us. They don't have the hustler ability like us, because a lot of them feel entitlement. You know, we try to pave the way so they can have a better lifestyle, but at the sometimes, because when we came up from working or hustling for the things that we wanted, they don't have that drive in them. But you know, he's finding his way. You know, he's in good health. He's still got a couple of years to figure it out, and I just hope that he does. You know,
That's fantastic. I'm sure you got a proud son, and you're one hell of a father, man. And I'm looking forward to just seeing you keep rising. Alonzo Hearn Jr., I just want to thank you so much, man, and it's a pleasure, my brother.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to hearing from you.
All right, let's shake the world.
Thank you.
You're starstruck, here's a sprinkle of the stardust. Hold your champagne glass and your cigars up. See the guys with mob ties drive the cars up. Bright lights, most nights they buy the bars up. Candy coated Chevy cars on the highway. It's Frankie baby, it's on and this is my way. Dean Martin at the Sands this Friday. With Sammy Davis, here's a little hint where I stay.